Deadly sin number 5. You might not expect me to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it. Sleeping around within your opportunity, sleeping around within your organization, sleeping around within your company. I've seen it destroy more organizations than you can imagine. Somebody who finds themselves in a situation, whether they are married, in a relationship, not in a relationship, and they find themselves around somebody else that they find attractive, and they decide to take action on that opportunity. And maybe it's somebody in their downline. Maybe it's somebody within their organization. And eventually that turns into whatever it turns into, but there's dynamic that gets dripped into the organization. And then a person, maybe once they do it once, maybe they do it again and again. And pretty soon, especially in leadership, pretty soon everyone in the organization knows. Pretty soon everyone is talking about it. And pretty soon everyone is pulling back and stopping taking action, stopping following that leader because of what happened within the organization. Just be aware of the impact that you will have when you do something like that, okay? Or, and again, this is something just to know about. If there's somebody in your organization that maybe is struggling with this and it's causing challenge within the organization, maybe it's something you can share this video with them. Now, everybody that gets this video shared with you, don't assume that they're thinking you're naturally engaged in one of these. Maybe you are. But even if you're not, it's important to know that these are the things that will really have an impact long-term in your organization. Number 6, deadly sin number 6, stealing distributors. And this one, I've had to struggle with this. I mean, it's not like I was an addict or anything. But here's what would happen. I'd be having a meeting in some area, and some prospect would find their way into my meeting. And they would say, hey, nobody invited me. I just found this meeting. And I'm looking for somebody to sponsor me. You know, can you be my sponsor? You know, I live in this town, you live in this town. And instead of saying, no, somebody encouraged you to come to this meeting. You didn't just magically show up. I would rationalize. I would say, yeah, well, you know, we are local, and people do have a choice, and all that stuff. And I'd end up signing that person up. Somebody would find out, and I sent that person, and you stole that person. I was like, oh my gosh, right? Or, you know, I've seen this happen in many different forms. Form number 1 is somebody else brings a prospect, and that prospect finds out that they like you better than they like the person that invited them, and you have a choice whether to sign that person up or not sign that person up. In my opinion, you should never sign that person up. If you didn't bring them to the party, you do not sign them up. Okay? Situation number 2 is somebody within your company. Let's say you develop a great relationship with somebody and they say, oh, I hate my upline. They don't give me any support. They don't help at all. And you kind of go, well, maybe you sign up your spouse. Maybe you sign up one of your kids. Maybe you sign up somebody else. And I'll work with you that way. And you kind of circumvent the rules in order to be able to get that person's effort into your organization. It's devastating in its impact of what will happen within the group, because everybody's going to find out, trust me. Third instance that this happens is you find somebody who's happy in another company, and you engage in an effort to make them unhappy about their decision to be involved in that company. My basic rule is, you know, because people make a decision to go from company to company justifiably sometimes. Sometimes it's the right thing to do, okay? But my rule is don't ever take someone who's happy with another company and engage in conversation and effort to make them unhappy with it. Don't plant the seed of doubt in their minds that they're with the wrong company at the wrong time. If they come over with you, it's going to be amazing, okay? That's not what we do inside of this profession. So understanding this, I've had that situation. You know, you see a leader someplace. Now, if they're wildly unhappy, or if they're leaving their company, or if they've left their company, they're in between companies, then fine. But if they're happy where they are, that's the rule. Don't make them unhappy with their situation in an effort to persuade them to come over into your organization. Okay? And the more you do this, the more you're going to be dealing with reputational issues. People will view you as a pirate. They'll view you as a thief. They'll view you as somebody who lacks integrity. And this is something, again, with my ambition especially early on in my career, with my ambition, I wanted somebody else into my organization, and I was prepared to do whatever I needed to do that. The whole whatever it takes is a very dangerous road to go down. Some whatever it takes scenarios are not worth it. Okay? So if to get to the top, you've got to steal from everybody else, and you're prepared to do that, I promise you, you're not going to be happy with it. And you're also not going to be happy with the reputation that you gain as a result of engaging in that behavior. So just understand, this is a deadly sin, and it will catch up with you. It will build a reputation for you that will start to repel people within your organization and within your peer group inside of this profession. So that is deadly sin number 6. Deadly sin number 7 is distributors who bounce from company to company to company. They're always looking for the situation where the grass is greener. They have lots of fun within an organization when there's lots of momentum and things are working great, but when it becomes work, when it becomes challenging, when it becomes effort, when it's not easy, when everything's not working magically, they tend to pull up the roots that they had planted and go plant them someplace else because they're addicted to the adrenaline of the startup. I have many friends in the profession that they cannot resist. They literally cannot resist. As soon as it gets hard, they're like, well, this other company over here has some momentum, and they pick up camp and they move over to that organization. And if you get caught, now understand, not everybody joins one company, stays with it for the rest of their career. That's fine. But I'm talking about a serial bouncer, people who bounce from company to company to company to company to company to company. It's going to create problems for you. It just is. I'm sad for the people, my friends, that go from opportunity to opportunity to opportunity because they're literally stealing from their future. They're stealing from their residual income. They're stealing from their reputation. And eventually a smaller and smaller group will follow you from the next to the next to the next, and you'll find yourself out of the profession. At least for a time being, until you're ready to come back in and just sink your teeth in and go to work. Understand this. Every single company in network marketing is going to have problems. Every single company is going to go through a period of time when it doesn't have momentum. Every single company is going to have situations when they go through change, and it's difficult. But moving to another company is not going to change that, because the other company is going to have it too. It just might be at different times over the course of a career. Decide the company and the product line that aligns with you, and decide that you're going to go through your problems with them instead of looking for a situation where there are no problems, because that does not exist. Okay? So don't be a bouncer. Don't bounce from company to company to company. So let's recap these 7 deadly sins. Deadly sin number 1, overinflating your product or your opportunity. Deadly sin number 2, inconsistency. Make sure that you're consistent. You know, number 1, the truth is enough. Number 2, consistency is the name of the game. Deadly sin number 3 is negativity. Decide that you're not going to engage in negative talk, negative posture, negative behavior. You're not going to gossip. You're not going to talk bad about somebody. You're going to be a positive force in the world. So being positive, number 3. Deadly sin number 4, the idea of the week. Every single moment having a new tactic, new strategy. Lock in. Be consistent. Be stable within your organization when it comes to a method of operation that you're asking people to do. Deadly sin number 5, sleeping around. What you do outside of your organization is one thing. What you do inside of your organization is a completely different thing. And just understand this. There are no secrets. Everybody eventually knows everything. Especially in network marketing. Word gets around. We're professionals at this. Word gets around. And it's not worth the reputational risk. It's not worth the emotional impact within an organization. It's devastating. Deadly sin number 6, stealing distributors. Whether with good intentions or bad, just make a decision that if you didn't bring them to the party, you're not signing them up. And if they're happy with another company, you're not going to make them unhappy with their decision and the position that they find themselves in. You're going to be an ambassador. You're going to be a friend. You're going to pat them on the back. You're going to send them on their way. You're going to be a peer, but not a predator. And deadly sin number 7, bouncing from company to company. Decide to sink your roots deep. You know, there may come a time when you have to make a decision, you have to make a move, but don't be that person that what I see typically is every couple years, they pull up roots and go someplace. Every couple years, they do it again. Don't be that person, because it robs you from your future, and it also robs from your reputation. Okay? So those are the 7 deadly sins, and also some suggestions on what you can do to reverse all of them, build a strong culture, build a great organization, build a great residual future. That's why we do what we do. Okay? So if any of these, if you felt emotional when I talked about any of these, if you felt defensive when I talked about any of these, those are for you. Those messages are specifically for you. If you think about people when I talked about any of these, if any of these comes to mind, maybe forward it to them. If there's people who are brand new to the profession, they haven't experienced any of this yet, it's important to understand, here are the landmines within the organization. These are the things to avoid. These are things that all of us together, we can take this profession, take the reputation, takes our standards and practices, and improve around the world, because we do have a gift. You know, these are things involved in any business, but we do have a gift. We have something to offer people. It's our job to, number one, show them the opportunity. Number two, warn them against the things that would be potentially a challenge to their future. So, ladies and gentlemen, my wish for all of you, as always, is that you decide to become a network marketing professional, that you decide to go pro. You decide to avoid the 7 deadly sins and engage in activities that will build you a true future, because it is a stone cold fact that we have a better way. Now let's go tell the world, okay? Everybody have a great day. I'll see you next time.